Hi everybody, Ryan Duffy, Rumen Technical Manager with Precision Microbes.
And Tommy Heffernan here with Precision Microbes as well. Welcome back to Tech in 10. Ryan, Tech in 10, as the name suggests.
Yeah, it's our deep dive every week into technical issues and relevant topics.
So if you have a topic, let us know in the comments for next week. We'll try and cover. Obviously, we're going to cover stuff that relates to precision microbes and the application of it, but we're going to throw in the odd topic that doesn't as well, because Tech in 10 is something we want to just explore. As a company, we like education. We like discussing these topics and seeing where we land with them. Okay, the clock begins now. What is today's topic?
Summer scar syndrome.
Okay. Wow, in 10 minutes. Right. We need to get right into it. What is it? What is summer scar syndrome?
Yeah, it's a condition that's affecting recently weaned calves that have been put out to grass, and they're getting profuse diarrhea and chronic wasting. So we're talking in and around that 3 to 4 month age. So recently weaned spring-born calves.
Okay, the question I ask is it a problem? So I've been talking about summer scar for a while, and like everything, you have to be willing to have an open mind and change ideas, and I have on it. I was really focused on grasping the challenge with it. Is it a problem on farm? I think what I have to say is common things are still common. Worms and coccidiosis are still the predominant issues we see with weaned calves at grass, and maybe some of those calves have high molybdenum and copper lockup as well. Those three are very, very common. But summer scar syndrome, over my 20-odd year veterinary career, has definitely been increasing, and for some farms it's a real challenge with these calves of wasting, diarrhea, ulcers in the mouth, ulcers in the esophagus, and just it's a real challenge. So some people will say to me, actually managing calves at grass and turnout is actually one of their biggest challenges now. They've got really good at doing it inside.
It's nearly a flip
to where we were pre-weaning. So before we get into the detail there, the Tech in 10 detail, essentially we're talking about this peak period of grass growth here after turnout. Calves are 3 to 6 months of age, anywhere in that period of time. And I suppose one of the things I have to say when it comes to summer scar syndrome, that it's always, sometimes when you look at a group, it's the 10 or 20% of later calves born potentially, where weaning, and we covered in another video, where they're poorly weaned, they haven't a fully developed rumen, because ultimately we're weaning, we're developing that rumen. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, and what sort of time frame are you talking about weaning calves?
When I say time frame, at what age group, or what do you mean?
Yeah, what are you trying to achieve? Like, how quickly should weaning be that we can rule it out as an issue here?
I think basically if your group of calves are eating 2 kilos a meal and they're fully weaned as a group, that's my average. Okay. Double their birth weight, no kind of stragglers at the end. If they are, depend a bit of TLC on them. Why are calves, you have a lovely diagram here, why are calves prone to issues around grass?
Yeah, well, I suppose just to even go back a step, what is causing this thing? Because we don't actually know what
this
causes.
Is theoretical Tech in 10.
Even in New Zealand, they call it idiopathic ill-thrift syndrome. Idiopathic is a fancy word for we don't really know what is causing it. So is it an infectious cause? Is it bacteria, virus, or parasites? A lot of the time, as you said, we've ruled these things out. Is it a lack of rumen development, which you're kind of alluding to here?
Yeah, so proper weeding, yeah.
Or is it down to grassland management? Not to incriminate, what the massive achievements we've made in grassland management, but could that be a risk factor here for these young, immature ruminant animals?
And because they're selective grazers as well, they'll take the top of the leaf. So letting calves out to a big field of grass is a real challenge, because they'll take the top, won't they? Go through the structure of grass. What are we looking at? We think about grass as a feed for young calves, and let's bring that rumen here up here and think about that rumen and hindgut. Why are these some of the things we need to think about?
Yeah, so grass is obviously made up predominantly of moisture, but from the dry matter perspective, we have carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins.
Yeah.
From the carbohydrate perspective, there's two categories. We have water-soluble carbohydrates and we have the structural carbohydrates. Those water-soluble ones, they're the ones that work straight away. They're digested straight away by the rumen microbes. So if there's a lot of them, which there would be in young, rapidly growing grass, we could be at risk of acidosis. On top of that too, it also includes sucrose, which would be the same as table sugar.
Okay.
The problem with sucrose is calves can't actually digest it. They don't have a sucrase enzyme. So if we have too much of that getting into the hindgut, we could be causing an issue. In saying that, it should be dealt with the rumen microbes, but if there is something wrong there and there's a dysbiosis, could that potentially be a risk? Listen, it's a potential risk.
Okay.
On the structural side of things, there's not as much fibre in young, rapidly growing grass. And as you've already said, the calves are avoiding it. They're not getting down to the butt of the grass, so they're less likely to take in fibre. From a lipid perspective, or we often call it fats and oils, there's certain fatty acids that we know impact dairy cows at the exact same time when there's rapidly growing grasses. We see it as low butter fat, so low milk fat syndrome. So we know it physiologically interferes with the rumen microbes in adults. What about young calves that do not have a developed and mature rumen microflora? Could it cause pathological issues? It's another potential. Proteins. Listen, high protein in young, rapidly growing grass, particularly if there's been recent nitrogen application through slurry or fertilizer. Could that be causing an issue where we have high ammonia or high nitrate concentrations? It certainly is something else that we have to keep in our heads.
Okay, so we know that there are certain risks, and I would say, controversial maybe, that grass has changed over 25 years. We've got excellent at growing it. The calf's rumen microbes haven't changed that much, so it may be multifactorial. Common things are still common. We've got to get weeding right. When we get out here and look at this as a challenge on grass and grazing grass, we can take some actions because grass is a super feed. It's a cheap feed for calves. We can take some actions based on this, can't we? Mm-hmm. We can start by looking at them being selective grazers, and strip grazing is something that I've seen on farm is really worked really well. Okay, now some farms have to go down to 12-hour breaks, which not always practical, but don't let calves into these big fields of grass. Strip grazing is where I'd start. What would you add on to our list of actions to reduce this challenge?
Even rougher pastures would be another alternative to strip grazing. Again, what are we trying to achieve here? We're trying to compensate for the lack of structure within our lush pastures. Okay. So if we're adding in fibre or getting them to eat fibre through strip grazing, this could be one of the things which resolves some of these issues.
So having forages and fibre with them. I know farmers will say to me they're doing a lot of these and they're still getting issues, but let's not talk forages and fibre. Having chopped straw, I've seen chopped straw and molasses mixed through it just to get a bit of palatability up. That definitely helps. Having concentrates with calves, maybe with a higher fibre content, maybe your soya hulls, etc. inside in that concentrate, that does help offset some of these risks. But I think you have to incorporate some form of strip grazing with those. Any other comments?
No, listen, that's the most fundamental thing to try and dilute the impact of this. So I think strip grazing or putting them out onto older pastures or supplementing with forages and concentrates is certainly a way forward.
We get lots of questions about precision microbes in the whole Summer Scour story. In 2021, when we started just getting precision microbes into vet practice and farms, actually a lot of vets started using precision microbes. The very first time they were using it, 100 mils for 3 to 5 days in calves recovering from it along with other treatments. And that worked really, we got really good feedback on that at 100 mils a day. Now, we have a couple of farms as well that the risk farms that were feeding 30 mils, that kept feeding, top dressing the meal with microbes because you're supporting the rumen health and you're supporting the hindgut. And we've seen recent research in UCD which also showed increased ammonia, I believe, Ryan, which may be linked to rumen function, but it also can be linked to hindgut function. So look, that is certainly something, but definitely when you get the outbreaks of it, it's a good tool. Okay, so we're summarizing Summer Scour syndrome. Many, it's called different things in different continents, but what are the key things we need to recap for people on Summer Scour?
Well, I kind of guess we don't know what's causing it. That's number one. Number two, it's diagnosed by a process of exclusion of what you have here as 1, 2, and 3, your worms, your coccidiosis, maybe some mineral deficiencies or abnormalities. But certainly we're looking at rumen development and we're looking at grassland management.
We want to get weaning right. We covered weaning before.
It's so important.
So rule out these 3, get weaning right, get a strong, healthy rumen. Then we understand that no matter what we do, we love grass, it's a cheap available feed, but this time of year there's certain risks, be it the carbohydrates, lipids or proteins, so we limit them by...
You've often spoken about a 3 to 4 week transition period from any diet. This is no different now. This is no different. A lot of the time in the past, We just put them out to grass and we didn't have any issues, potentially because the grass structure was different. But now we need some degree of a transition.
Okay. Excellent. That's it, Ryan. I think we've come under the 10 minutes. We're getting better at this now here. Again, if you have topics you want us to cover, let us know. Again, it's a little bit frustrating sometimes when you have a topic and you don't have the definitive ideas, but we've kind of outlined common things are common. Get weaning right. Know the structural issues. Manage them as best we can. Precision microbes can certainly be used with calves and recovery. Long term, it could be a supportive tool in meal, top dressed. Any other thoughts?
Nope, that's pretty much it.
2, 1, job done.